What is networking? In my mind, networking is pretty simple. It's moving information between two or more parties. So here we have two people. They can talk to each other. They're sending information between each other. If we think about that exercise of talking, we are really transferring information. The guy on the left says, "What time is it?" The guy on the right replies, "It's 2 p.m." Excellent. Well, let's dissect that a little bit and see what's happening so we can use that later to understand better how data networks work as well. In order for the person on the left to say it's 2 p.m., he needs some place to project that information. Fortunately, we live on Earth, and on Earth we have this thin layer of air that's wrapping the outside of Earth, and it both gives us the ability to survive as living creatures, and if we have vocal cords, it gives us the ability to vibrate that air in a specific pattern. Now, we can vibrate that air in all kinds of patterns. I can say, ah, oh, right? Those patterns may be meaningless, but the vibration of the air patterns of my language here is actually very important, right? Because what I'm doing is I am formulating the concept of it's 2 p.m., which is the time, and I'm using the English language to do that. Well, the spoken English language is nothing more than a precise vibration of airwaves. Those precise vibrations of airwaves can convey the message of time, or in this case, the measurement of it. Now, talking is great if we're 10 feet apart, but as we're all aware, when we're 1,000 feet apart, it gets really challenging unless we have ideal conditions. So we have other mechanisms for communication, like mail. Just like we vibrate the air in a specific pattern to get English, we can also write scribbles on a piece of paper in order to convey English as well and communicate messages. We just do it a little bit differently, and it's a little bit slower because we have to put that letter that we wrote in an envelope, give the envelope to the postman. The postman has to deliver it to whomever we're trying to communicate with. We tried to speed this same process up a little bit by adding horses with the Pony Express. Mid to late 1800s, we had the Pony Express in the United States. And it's just a bunch of dudes riding horses, getting mail from station to station across the Great Plains of the United States very, very quickly. However, Pony Express was quickly made obsolete by the train, and even more so with the advent of the train and running train tracks across countries throughout the world. We typically put wires next to the train tracks to hook up this newfangled technology from the 1800s called the telegraph. The way the telegraph works is if I push the lever up and down on the machine on the right, the lever on the machine on the left goes up and down as well. So here I have a message that I want to send. Yoda is trying to tell Luke Skywalker, do or do not, there is no try. So we're going to send that message from Yoda's machine over on the left to Luke Skywalker's machine over on the right. We have this language of English, or broken English for Yoda's case, and the concept of do or do not, there is no try. We send that off to our telegraph operator. Yoda can either speak that to the telegraph operator, or he can write it down and give it to the telegraph operator. Either way, that telegraph operator has a job to do, and that's to convert Yoda's message in English to this dash and dot concept of an electrical pulse. Dashes and dots are nothing more than holding the lever down for a long time for a dash or a short time for a dot. This is Samuel Morse's code called Morse code. Samuel Morse invented it, and what we're going to do is convert our message, do or do not, there is no try, into dashes and dots. Once they're converted into dashes and dots, we can send that information over these two wires to the other machine. The other machine, the lever will go up and down, which means that the telegraph operator at the other end can convert it back from dashes and dots into the language and concept of do or do not, there is no try, and communicate it with Luke Skywalker. This conversion from the concept in English to a completely different system of communication so that we can send messages over two wires instead of through the air or on paper, this is kind of the birth of data networking. Being able to convert a message from one language into another language, transfer it across some wires, and convert it back again. Shortly after this, we used the same two wires. Alexander Graham Bell came up with the telephone. The first message he sent here was, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." There's our language and our concept. So when Bell wants to send this very first message ever sent over a telephone to his buddy Watson, what he's going to do is he's going to use his vocal cords and the air in his lungs to vibrate the air, which is going to cause a membrane on the microphone of the telephone to vibrate as well, which creates an electrical signal. That electrical signal is then sent over the same two wires that we used for our telegraph, which then in turn makes the speaker of our telephone at the receiving end vibrate a little bit, which vibrates the air, which then allows Watson at the other end of the phone call to hear the message that Bell sent. Once again here, we are converting from one mechanism of communication via vibrating air and our vocal cords into a different communication pattern to put it over two wires and then converting it back again. What Bell did here effectively was just made the process of the telegraph a lot more efficient. So now we can be 1,000 feet away from each other talking on the telephone, or 1,000 miles away for that matter, and feel like it's only 10 feet apart. When we start talking about email and the internet, when we send email across the internet to our friend on the other side of the world, what's happening in the middle there is kind of mysterious. However, the good news is that we can use these same concepts of transferring information from one type of language or one type of communication mechanism to another communication mechanism. It's pretty much what we're doing in data networking. And what I want to do is find out how all that works.